Bien, pues paso a presentar al primero de los conferenciantes de esta mañana. Se trata de Iván Netto, es doctor en psiquiatría de la India, habita cerca de Mumbai, es miembro del Instituto Secular Cristo Rey y es recientemente elegido presidente de la Conferencia de Institutos Seculares de Asia. Es una iniciativa por la que tendremos que dar gracias a Dios, porque efectivamente, después de trabajos, de tiempo, se ha podido crear esta conferencia, que es pues otro instrumento de comunión de los institutos seculares ahora en Asia. Y precisamente Iván Netto es su presidente. Y bueno, pues eso, le agradecemos ese esfuerzo de comunión que ha tenido, y también le agradecemos el haber querido y haber aceptado participar con la ponencia de los nuevos lenguajes y un nuevo lenguaje para la Iglesia. Pues tiene la palabra.
Good morning, and thank you, President and Secretary of CMIS, for inviting me to speak on this interesting and important topic, new languages and a new language for the Church. My previous speakers, Pierre Langeron and Archbishop Lacroix, have made my work easy. They have spoken on the vocation, mission of the laity and about the call to holiness. And to live this call and mission of the laity, we need to speak the language of love. Many people remarked that there was nothing new, and here there is something new in the style, in the way we spread the good news. Now, I've already told you I'm a medical doctor in psychiatry, and I'm exposed to new media and its impact like every other ordinary person here. I'm doing a research paper on internet addiction in college students in my country. I do not speak here like a technical expert, but rather view new media and its impact on society through the eyes of a Christian and a member of a secular institute. I must say, I have collected the material for my talk from various sources, mainly the doctoral dissertation theses of Miss Santana Angela and the church documents. You can go ahead. So, I would like to answer the first question. What is new media? It is a generic term for the many different forms of electronic communication that are made possible through the use of computer technology. The term is in relation to old media forms such as print news media and magazines that are static representation of text and graphics. New media, number 10, includes websites, chat rooms, online communities, web advertising, DVD and CD-ROM media, virtual reality environments, internet telephony, podcasts, RSS feeds, social networks, text messaging, blogs, yes, virtual worlds, and mobile computing. So here we see a virtual world. Next. Next. The Catholic Church, once a leader in communications according to some, now lag behind the rest of the world in the new media participation, according to some. They argue that the utilization of new media by the Catholic Church would seriously benefit its catechetical, evangelical, and other communications efforts by providing easy access, cost-effective, community-building resources to the church members at home or abroad, and as well as to the rest of the world. My next question, what does new media help you to do? It connects people with information and services. For example, patients who are AIDS patients can communicate with other AIDS patients, with other family members, and with the caregivers. One interesting incident, which I have not got on the paper here, is recently I had a girl from Nairobi who was chatting with her boy in India. And they were chatting on the internet for a long time, and they seemed to fall in love. And then the boy sent his photograph to the girl, and he asked for the girl's photograph, and she sent him a nice passport-size photograph. And then they decided, okay, let's get married. So the girl came from Nairobi to India. And the boy got a shock of his life, because when he saw the girl, he saw that she was very fat and obese, and he decided to change his mind. When I asked my medical students, what is the moral of this story? And they told me, one student, a mischievous student, he told me, the moral of the story is, when you're in love, always ask for the full photograph. So this is the way new media is able to connect people. Another thing about new media is it collaborates. It helps other people to make contact with another. I recently wrote a research paper, and that research paper was on a typical topic, very peculiar and typical topic. And later on, I got in touch with experts from the world since I created a blog. Okay? Next, please. So here you can see people collaborating. This is a Catholic agency for the work of poor people. Okay? Next, please. Then new media helps you to create your own blogs, your own websites. There are many medical doctors nowadays who have their own websites, and people contact them through the websites. Next. My next question, what are the reactions to new media? The Holy Father, Pope Benedict XVI, emphasized that new media should not be greeted with facile enthusiasm or skepticism. Instead, he said, the church should learn to use new media effectively. Like any language, the Pope said, the new media brings its own distinctive ways of conveying thoughts and organizing ideas. All languages shape the way thoughts are expressed, and the social media brings to the fore capacities that are more intuitive and emotional than analytical, tending towards a different logical organization of our ideas and our relationships with reality. This media has drawbacks, the Pope added. Next. Particularly for those who do not understand how it operates. The risks involved are the loss of inner depth, superficiality in relationships, the flight into emotionalism, the prevalence of the most convincing opinion over the desire for truth. In this context, the Pope said, the task of the Pontifical Council for Social Communication is helping people in positions of responsibility in the Church to understand, interpret, and speak the new language of the mass media in their pastoral functions. Okay. Now we come to what is the Catholic Church's teachings on new media. There have been many church teachings on evangelization, media, and new media. There is a hope for an update on the Church's teaching on these issues in the near future. The first teaching on the subject was Apostolicam Accusitatem, the Second Vatican Council decree on the apostolate of the laity promulgated by Pope Paul VI on November 1965. Then came Evangelii Nunciandani, promulgated by Pope Paul VI 10 years after the Council. Both these documents are the basis for understanding the Church's view of evangelization, especially in relation to the laity. Then followed rapid development, Caritas in Veritate, and the new technology. The former was promulgated in 2005 and the latter, Caritas in Veritate, in 2009. These two documents help in understanding the Church's teaching on communications and media. Finally, new technologies and new relationships by Pope Benedict XVI talks about the effects of new media on human relationships. So I now go to Apostolicam Accusitatem. Here the Council exhorted lay people to be more diligent in doing what they can to explain, defend, and properly apply Christian principles to the problems of an era in accordance with the mind of the Church. This means that all Christians are entrusted with a mission to make the divine message of salvation known and accepted by all men throughout the world. They should do so by witnessing to the presence of God in their lives. Pope Paul VI maintains that this personal witness in everyday life must be followed by the vocal proclamation of Christ. The Council notes that there are many persons who hear the gospel and recognize Christ only through the laity who live near them. The documents thus far demonstrate that evangelization is a rich and personal process and the duty of every Christian. Still further, the Council makes it clear that evangelization should not be only the work of individuals. Communities should also be witness and preachers of the gospel. In Evangelii Nutsindani, Pope Paul VI teaches that evangelization is in fact the grace and vocation proper to the Church, her deepest identity. The Church exists in order to evangelize. The Pope emphasizes that what matters is to evangelize man's culture and cultures, not in a purely decorative way, as it were, but in a vital way, in depth and right to the roots. Here, the Pope clarifies 2 points. First, evangelization must create change at the root of culture. The Church should start evangelization with individual persons, like Jesus encountered the Samaritan woman. Then we go to the rapid development. Pope John Paul II said that in communication media, the Church has precious aid for spreading the gospel and religious values, for promoting dialogue, ecumenical and interreligious cooperation, and also for defending those solid principles which are indispensable for building a society which respects the dignity of the human person and is attentive to the common good. The Church sees media as tools which must be used to fulfill its multifaceted, God-given mission. Everything must be done for this mission to be completed. Everything must be done to render the bonds of communion among ecclesial communities more effective. Modern technologies increase to a remarkable extent the speed, quantity, and accessibility of communication. At the same time, he said there are some flaws in this communication media. He believed that media of his day has many ways inadequate for encountering persons at an intimate level. They above all do not favor the delicate exchange that takes place between mind and mind, between heart and heart, and which should characterize any communication at the service of solidarity and love. In Caritas in Veritate asserts that communication media and technology in general express the inner tension that impels humanity gradually to overcome material limitations. Technology, in this sense, is a response to God's command to till and keep the land that He has entrusted to humanity. The Church then views technology itself as not inherently good or evil, but the expression of a good, God-given human quality. And finally, in new technologies and new relationship, the Pope offers some guidance to those using new media. He begins by saying that the speed with which media technologies develop and have become popular should not surprise us, as new media responds to a fundamental desire of people to communicate and to relate to others. He celebrates the idea that new media not only allows people to connect with one another, but that these connections facilitate forms of cooperation between people from different geographical and cultural contents that enable them to deepen their common humanity. It's nice to see this photo. Pope Benedict the 16th inaugurated the the channel News Dava through an iPad, saying these words: "Blessed be our Lord Jesus Christ with my prayers and blessings, Benedictus the 16th." And within a few hours, thousands joined this Twitter account, and from 65,000, the numbers rose to 54,000 more Twitter users. Next. Now we come to the areas of concern. The Pope then begins to address a subject which the Church has rarely, if ever, discussed, namely the digital divide. This expressed the idea that new media are readily available and express the values of the upper and middle class, while remain unavailable to and not representative of the poor. As expected, the Pope supports the endeavor to ensure that the benefits of new media are put to the service of all human individuals and communities, especially those most disadvantaged and vulnerable. Later he said it would be a tragedy if the continuous development of new media should contribute to increasing the gap, separating the poor from the new networks that are developed at the service of human socialization and information. Then he goes on to speak about the quality of content. Relationships should not simply be the focus of new media efforts. The quality of content remains of great importance. He encourages everyone involved with new media to promote a culture of respect, dialogue, and friendship within it, and to defend the dignity of the human person. Next, dialogue should be made in a genuine search for truth. Though new media users may easily fall prey to believing that they are consumers in a market of undifferentiated possibilities, where choice itself becomes the good, novelty is greater than beauty, and subjective experiences displace the truth. The Church reminds us to believe otherwise. Then we come to the Holy Father warns, if the desire for virtual connectedness becomes obsessive, it may in fact lead to isolate individuals from real social interactions, while also disrupting the patterns of silence, rest, and reflection that are necessary for healthy human growth. Next. So we see many people who are hung on to the internet, and so much so, we have now what we call pathological internet use and internet addiction. There is a questionnaire and scale to check if you are addicted to the internet. Next, please. About secular institutes and new media. Secular institutes have also been using new media in a big way. Since members of secular institutes live alone or with their families, they are living apart and they get connected to each other through Skype, through emails. CMIS has a beautiful website which gives information about all the conferences and various secular institutes. As president of the Asian Conference of Secular Institutes, I found it very useful because when people come to ask admission to our to conference, we first check, is it a recognized institute? And all the details of the institutes are given very well on the website. It is also a source for having a website for continental and national conferences of secular institutes. Next, please. Sorry, before this. This is the website of our institute, and as you can see, there are a lot of church documents. Many people have even contacted us for vocation promotion, vocation formation, and we give material on the website. Next, please. Now we come to what does the secular world have to say on new media? What have the modern research workers to say? Researchers James Cutts and Ronald Rice have done extensive research on the social consequences of internet use. In Project Syntopia, they report a summary of their report. In general, internet online activity reflects people's offline activity. No evidence supports the social paradox that heavy internet usage increases social isolation. Rather, Cutts and Rice conclude that internet use is associated with increased community and political involvement and significant and increased online and offline social interactions. Next. A 2009 summarization of the new media and social media by Eric Qualman offers a stunning case for the popularity of new media and social media. Next. Qualman's evidence suggests that social media not only enjoys more new adopters than any previous medium in history, but their popularity will only increase over time. For instance, while radio took 38 years to reach 50 million users and television 13 years, social media sites like Facebook added 100 million users in less than 9 months. They say that if Facebook was a country, it would be the world's 4th largest country. Next. Wikipedia, which users create and edit each article, contains over 13 million articles, 78 of which are in languages other than English. Next. Now we come from the marketing perspective. Social media seems more effective than any other media. The people can choose what they want to see on the internet. They can pick up, for instance, which television show to watch, what they want to watch, skip through commercials. There are special software that keep standalone or pop-up advertisements. People are tired of being marketed to. This creates a challenging situation for marketers who want to reach consumers today. In fact, while only 14% trust advertisements, 78% consumers trust peer recommendations. The 2008 Edelman Trust Barometer found that the most trusted voice on the internet, according to the consumer, was a voice of a person like me or you. Now, we come to the youth and the internet. Internet has an important role in the lives of the youth. It is found that 87%, that is 21 million youth of America today, are mostly online. Text messaging, instant messaging, chat rooms, personal websites increase the speed and simultaneous interaction. Next is before. Influences on the emotional domain. Communication through internet has expanded the social circles. No longer does the social circle have to be limited to the geographical location. There is a virtual rather than physical space. Young people, geographically remote, disabled, or homebound due to illness, may find online chat an important form of communication. However, there are some evils that come up with internet addiction. I cannot describe all because of the shortage of time, but there are a lot of things such as cyberbullying, cyber stalking, cyber pornography, hacking of sites, getting into someone's email account without his knowledge, cyber harassment, and flaming. Flaming means a public personal attack where people demonstrate verbal aggression. Just to make this more realistic, I would like to share with you one story of a patient who came to me. Recently, there was a patient who came to me and he told me he was a man and he wants to change his sex to a female. And then he told me he had gone on the internet to a gender site and then he found where the operation is done, and he also found himself a partner after the operation. So you can see how advanced internet connections can take you. By the way, consecrated persons are not free from being tempted to the evil effects of internet addiction. And I know many formators in seminaries and in religious houses who are giving talks on cyber safety and cyber hygiene to the young novices and people who join their orders. So there are dangers also, such as group norm violations, such as racism, sexism, homophobias, etc. Now, the internet is also good for those who are seeking help. So there are suicide hotlines, support groups, information on medical conditions, and you can contact appropriate organizations. But the negative or the bad side of this is that also on the internet, you have hemlock or suicide societies online. There are terroristic groups in secrecy operating who can tell you how to use bombs. There are other groups which teach you to self-mutilate, to be sexually attractive, to participate in drug use, and many other illegal and illicit activities. Hence, it is important that the youth of today be taught cyber safety. So there is counseling for cyber safety. Counselors need to train parents and children to avoid victimization, including sexual solicitations and harassment. Teachers integrate instruction into the curriculum and the classroom to address plagiarism, that is violation of copyright, cheating, and other forms of unethical combinations. Cyber lessons are also needed. So, a school-going boy or girl can be taught critiquing and text message, or how to understand the message and message sender. Netiquette, which is the etiquette on the internet. Yes. And then cyber helpers. Now we have come to the last part, theology over technology. The Pope has said that whoever loves God in some way becomes a theologian. And therefore, the problem, next please, the problem of new media is not a one of technology, but a one of theology. Before Catholic technical experts advise church organizations on new media, they should realize the theology related to new media. Nothing is worthwhile if we do not have a prayerful theological foundation for new media work. Next. Now, how should we go about this theological foundation? So, we have to take recourse to the teachings of the fathers and theologians of the whole Christian tradition. Next, please. There are very many media personalities, if you may say, in the history of the church. Saint Paul the Apostle, Saint Francis de Sales, next please, Blessed Alberion. He was Pauline family. You know, the Pauline fathers are known for their communication works. Saint Daniel Comboni, next. The Archbishop Fulton Sheen, who was once on the cover page of Time magazine. Next. So these are some of the people we can look to frame out this theological understanding. Next. Now, where do we go from here? I'm coming to the end of my talk. New media has created a new environment for human thinking, learning, and communication. Many see this as more than just a media revolution, but rather a language revolution. New media technologies have fundamentally changed the way human beings think and express themselves. Experts have extended traditional new media to create new electronic media, which has given way to immersive, experiential media. And this has been drastically changed by digital technologies, and we are now communicating in a different way. Many people have remarked that the church, the sermons and very other things in the church are not having the desired impact on people. So it's a time, maybe, we have to reconsider how we conduct and how we communicate. I have tried to present a framework and language in the new media technologies. They need to be considered, evaluated, and if appropriate, encouraged. The church has new languages and must consider which new language is good for the church. Thank you. Thank you.